Finally, after years of speculation, endless discussions, debates, arguments, controversies, and all manner of discourse, Halo Infinite is here in its entirety. Or so one would think. The reality, however, is very different, and for both better and for worse. My review of the multiplayer component will be dealt with separately, as there is a lot to unpack here. In this video, I offer my view on the single player campaign of Halo Infinite and whether 343 has redeemed itself after its severe failings of Halo 5, and whether Halo Infinite meets the gargantuan expectations such a franchise commands. When Halo Infinite's campaign gameplay was revealed, its visuals were lambasted by many for not being impressive for a next-gen showcase of a flagship title. We have seen incremental improvements after the fiasco, and ultimately, Halo Infinite does look good, but not owing to its raw visual fidelity. In fact, the upgrades from the controversial first showing are subtle, yet effective. But Halo Infinite is not necessarily a showcase for the power of the Xbox Series consoles, unlike Forza Horizon 5. What will make many swiftly forget about this though, is the pure majesty of the art direction of Halo Infinite. The scale of the world is truly remarkable. Ever since the first Halo game graced us, many have pondered over the notion of a Halo game as vast as this. The mountains, giant foreboding banished fortresses, and the unique Forerunner structures really meld together so beautifully, and 343 have done an astonishing job of really nailing the spirit of the first Halo game. The designs of various characters are generally great. The Banished with their striking red accents and body armor look suitably aggressive, and the Covenant with their vast array of colours denoting rank, with grunts, elites, jackals, and more, harken to their classic looks. The core story characters are obviously better realised, but the lip syncing and animations are oddly lackluster even compared to older Halo games. This problem is compounded by animations that run at 30 frames per second, and the stuttering nature of it can often distract. I gave up hope a long time ago of a Halo game evoking the same kind of feelings that the original Halo did all those years ago, and yet 343 have done the impossible, something even Bungie couldn't do after the first game. The outside open world makes you feel like you're playing the Silent Cartographer all over again, except this time the scale matches the spectacle. The game also often makes you explore internal Forerunner structures, and this is where the designers truly need to be commended. I felt like I was playing Halo CE again, being swept up in the wonder of these alien structures. The world is telling its own story constantly, either on the outside or on the inside. It had me grinning from ear to ear and proved to me that 343 understand the core of Halo so well. This was a huge highlight for me in the game. I have previously stated that Halo Infinite must have multiple biomes in the game, but this game only has one. But no doubt more will be added in the future. Surprisingly though, this bothered me very little considering how well realized the open world is in Halo Infinite. And despite completing the game, I cannot wait to go back and experience this expertly crafted Halo sandbox. It really is something truly special. To accompany the incredible art style, 343 have absolutely nailed the sound design of the game. The soundtrack takes strong cues from the original and executes these flawlessly. The weapons sound great and suitably punchy, and you will have noted this from the multiplayer. The Banished flying vehicles, for instance, emit a loud War of the Worlds-esque boom that really adds to the atmosphere. And the game is filled with these kind of touches that really make a difference. A Halo game would be nothing without the AI chatter on the field, and boy does this game do this better than any other Halo game to date. The grunts are the star of the show and their voice lines are hilarious, especially when you die. I found myself laughing out loud several times. Even mid-combat, for instance, the enemy AI converse with each other to either mock each other or issue commands or statements about what is happening on the battlefield. The grunts, elites, jackals and brutes all come to their own in this game. A massive shout out has to go to the voice actors of the core banished characters in the story. Isharam has now become one of the most iconic antagonists in any Halo game to date for me, with the booming voice commanding fear and respect relayed exceptionally well to enhance his towering and imposing stature. I was previously unsure about having the Banished as the main antagonist in the game, but Halo Infinite has completely removed any doubts about their suitability in this game. If anything, the Banished are one of the key highlights and strengths. In order for Halo Infinite to remotely stand a chance of being relevant for the 10-year plan that 343 has declared, the foundation of the game has to be exceptional. 343's decision to make Halo Infinite open world would not have been made lightly. There are huge challenges that come with it, and 343 has risen to that challenge. The extremely tight and satisfying gunplay with a whole host of weaponry is brilliantly supplemented by unlocked player abilities like the drop shield and the grapple hook, the latter of which is a game changer for Halo. Concerns regarding the open world formula should be set aside. The side missions do not detract from the fun, they only add to it. Combine that gunplay with excellent enemy AI, rewarding traversal, top-notch physics, and a vast open world, and you have what I describe as the peak Halo experience. But has 343 created that foundation strong enough for a decade-long plan? The answer is absolutely. Frankly, I was astonished by just how solid that foundation is, and it's immediately apparent. In my previous campaign overview video, I drew comparisons to Zelda Breath of the Wild, and honestly, that comparison is so appropriate here, but even then I did not expect all of the game's multiple systems to work so well. Only a very talented studio can achieve what 343 has here. This should not be understated. There is so much to discover and explore in Zeta Halo, and the potential for future content is limitless. The lack of co-op day one does feel like a glaring omission, but as far as gameplay is concerned, this is a Halo fan's dream come true. Whilst I offer no spoilers, this is the area that Halo Infinite will be extremely divisive amongst the hardcore fans and casuals alike. I have previously said that Halo Infinite, despite its 10-year plan, has to have a satisfying ending. And without going into specifics, it just does not do that. In fact, Halo Infinite realizes the narrative about the dangers of a games-as-a-service model, causing developers to forsake the integrity of a full experience that traditionally accompanies our games. I will release a separate video discussing and explaining the Halo Infinite story, because quite frankly, 343 have done something that I think needs to be called out, which is to force players to rely on future content to finish any semblance of the story in Halo Infinite. This would not be so bad if the game did not make you feel like it barely got off the ground with its story at the end of the campaign. It's tricky to adequately explain the issue here with the limitations that 343's embargoes impose upon me because of spoilers. But Halo Infinite falls into the same pitfalls as its predecessors in that it demands players to read up on the lore relegated in books and also by way of audio logs in the game. To me, this is near criminal for a game that has a lore that, in my opinion, can challenge some of the great science fiction works out there. I feel even the core story branches in the game are not effectively told, save for Isharam and the Banished, which are expertly told. At the end of the game, I was almost shocked at what I felt was an abrupt ending, but other reviewers I have spoken to do not feel the same way, so it'll be intriguing for me to see how the community responds to the story. Do note that the story in the game is almost a warm-up of what is to come, and this is where I feel jaded with it. There are barely any new enemy types in the game. This feels almost like an attempt at a reboot of the franchise. We waited for over 5 years and are now subject to a further 10-year plan to see the trilogy through. There are also positives here though, because 343 have instilled a sense of mystery and wonder as a result of telling you so little directly. But in my opinion, 343 are going to be under immense pressure to reveal their roadmap for future content. To justify this games as a service model, this campaign content needs to be forthcoming sooner rather than later. Were it not for what I feel is a horrifically abrupt ending, I was poised to state that this was the best Halo game we have ever had since Halo Combat Evolved. As of now, I can quite confidently state that this is one of the best Halo games ever made, and there is so much promise for the future. In that statement then, surely there is a story of redemption on the part of 343, a studio that has taken on the daunting task of assuming responsibility of a franchise that made a whole console platform what it is today. Halo Infinite is a phenomenal experience, particularly for a core Halo fan that has the potential to become something special, albeit hampered immediately by the games as a service model. Make no mistake though, this is the best playing Halo game in my opinion in years, if not ever, and will continue to be the subject of fierce discussions after its launch. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I cannot wait to see the community's response to Halo Infinite. Thank you for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share and subscribe. And check out Gameondaily.com.